What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with a little bit of Overwatch. And in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at some tips and things you can do to improve as a player in Overwatch. This video is kind of aimed at newer players or beginners, or if you're someone who's maybe down in the bronze and silver ranks of competitive and you're trying to get some tips and things that you can use to improve and get better and rank up, or if you just want to get better at the game in general and enjoy quick play in the arcade modes a little bit more. I hope that this video will help you guys out. So without further ado, let's get into it, and here are some general tips to help you improve at Overwatch. Alright guys, so one of the first things you're going to want to do to get into Overwatch mechanically with the game that's going to help you improve a little bit is going to be to turn off your mouse acceleration when it comes to the PC. Now if you guys are playing on console, this really isn't going to do much for you. You can pretty much ignore this section and skip over to the next bit of the tips and everything. But this is mainly for you PC guys, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to our Windows settings, and we're going to click on settings, and just go to your mouse settings is usually where you'll find this. Mouse and touchpad settings is what it's underneath on Windows 10, and you'll have the little button here for additional mouse options. You're going to bring that up, and what you want to do is actually go to pointer options. Now you'll be a little box here that will usually be clicked. It's called Enhanced Pointer Precision. You want to click that off, make sure it's not activated, because what that's going to do is it's going to turn off the mouse acceleration. You also want to make sure that your speed is right in the middle so that you get a consistent performance out of your mouse pointer. What mouse acceleration actually does is you can move the mouse the same amount of distance. Like say you move the mouse an inch across your mouse pad. If you move it slowly an inch, it's going to move at one speed, but if you flick it a little quicker, it's actually going to move at a faster speed. So you're going to get a very inconsistent pointer depending on how you move your mouse when you're playing the game. So that's going to help your aim quite a bit. It's helped me out quite a bit. I was playing through a lot of Season 2 just using mouse acceleration, not realizing that was something I needed to turn off until I had watched a couple of other Overwatch videos and saw that was a tip. It was also mentioned on Battle.net quite a bit. So that was something I thought I might share with you guys, and hopefully that will help you out and help your aim get a little bit better. Now we're going to get into some other things that will help you mechanically within the options of the game, and this will work on both PC and console, so let's get into those right now. Alright, so now we are actually in the main game of Overwatch here. Now this is going to work for either console or PC for you guys. I'm going to give you guys just some general tips and ideas here for how you can also improve your aim a little bit and just your overall gameplay. So let's go into options. And we want to take a look. You've got video, sound, controls, gameplay, and social. Now one thing you want to do is go to the control section, and you can see here you have sensitivity options, whether you're playing with the controller or with your mouse, and that's something you want to play around with. Generally what I've found is a lower sensitivity is better in Overwatch, especially if you're playing on PC. You can lower your sensitivity, set your DPI and your mouse a little bit higher, and that usually helps you aim much better. When I first started, I was playing around an 11 or a 12 sensitivity. I'm down to a 10 on general sensitivity. Some characters I play a 7 or an 8. It just kind of depends, and that's another important thing that you can do. So you can actually change your mouse sensitivity and also your crosshairs for each individual character in Overwatch. And that's a really great feature that you definitely want to take advantage of. And speaking of crosshairs, if you come down here to reticle, you can turn the bloom on or off. You can also select the type of reticle you have on the screen. You can go with the default. The circle, crosshairs, short crosshair, or an actual dot. Now what I found is best to do is play around with these and find out what you're comfortable with. You can do this a lot in quick play, but playing against the AI, on the practice range, whatever you want to do. I found for characters such as Soldier 76, I use the dot and I seem to do a lot better with it. Whereas if I'm playing like Reaper or Tracer or even Lucio, I'll use a circle. Characters that usually have a more spread on their attack is something I'll use the circle for. I'll use crosshair for snipers and things when I'm trying to be more accurate. But it just depends. It's something you can play around with and figure out what works best for you. And then you also have the reticle color, which is a very interesting option, and this can be very, very helpful for you as well. I know a lot of people go with the green because the green stands out quite a bit. When I first started playing, I actually went with red because to me, red is the color that stands out the most to the eye. When you look at something, you almost instantly you see red. So I like to be able to see where my crosshair is on the maps. And you know the maps in Overwatch are quite colorful. You can get distracted quite easily by some of the backgrounds and other things. But what I found actually is this purple, magenta, whatever color you want to call it. This is actually what I've been playing with through the last couple of weeks of the game. because I've found that this color contrasts against almost everything in Overwatch. I can see this clearly against every single background in the game. It's very easy to focus on, and I found that my aim has improved quite a bit since I started just using this magenta color. So that's an option for you to do. Again, something else to play around with. Like I was telling you up here, you can always go in and change to different options. Like if you want to look at McCree, for example, you see I have 1030 sensitivity on him, which I actually need to set that a little lower, but I use a circle crosshair for him. If I go to, say, Soldier 76, you can see I'm actually playing on a 7.59 sensitivity on him, and I use the dot. So play around with this and use it on different characters and decide, you know, what you want to do. It's a very easy way to make it more personalized and help you get a little bit better just in general at aiming within the game. Like I said, you can practice with this, whether you want to go to the practice range or play in quick play or play against the AI. This is a really easy and simple way to help yourself improve. So now we're going to talk about just some general gameplay tips and some other things you can do in Overwatch to make yourself a better player and a better teammate, and overall hopefully enjoy your games more. And the first thing I would suggest is to learn how to play multiple heroes in this game. You'll find if you focus on just playing one or two heroes and learning them very well, you may do well with those characters, but overall you're not going to do very well in the overall game, especially if you decide to play competitive Overwatch. When you get into competitive Overwatch, you definitely need to play more, or know how to play more than one character, because a lot of times the characters that you might like to play a lot are already taken, and you'll have to make another choice. And if you have to pick someone that you've never used before and you're not very good with, you're not going to be able to play very well, and you're probably going to hurt your team quite a bit. Thankfully, there's plenty of ways to practice characters in Overwatch. You can play against the AI. You can set up a private match where you can go in and play against bots on your own. You can also play quick play, and thankfully they've added in the arcade modes where you can go in and play against other players without it being a super competitive setting, and you can learn how to play different characters in the game. And one of the really cool things to do is they have a random 6v6 match now where you can go in and you can play as pretty much any character in the game. What will happen is anytime you die, you will respawn as a new character, and you'll just basically play whatever the game gives you, and it kind of forces you to have to learn how to play different characters, and it's a really good thing to do. When I first started playing the game, I was using Soldier 76 quite a bit because he's fairly easy for new players to pick up. He's thankfully since gotten a buff and made him a pretty solid DPS in general, and has become one of my favorite characters to use. But I also tried to play Lucio and D.Va and branch out and play some other roles, so that when I got into Season 2 for competitive, I was able to actually play multiple roles in the game if need be. So now with Season 3 competitive, I started to play some other characters in quick play between the break in the seasons, and I kind of learned how to play Mercy, and I'm working on Zenyatta and Junkrat and a few others. And I'm mainly playing those in quick play, trying to get the hang of them before I go into competitive, because the last thing you want to do is get into competitive, not know how to play a character, and you're probably going to get flamed for it, and you're not going to have a very enjoyable time. But overall, that's just the main point, is you definitely want to learn how to play multiple characters. Have at least 5 or 6 characters that you're good at least a couple in each role, whether it be DPS or defense, support, healing, tank, etc. I've also been playing a lot of Reinhardt this season, and that's been very enjoyable. But learning how to play 2 or 3 different characters is going to make you very versatile, and if you can get good at playing 2 or 3 different characters, you're going to be able to rank up, hopefully, and have a much better experience when you're playing with your team. Another thing, and this kind of goes along the same line of characters, is learning about team synergy, what characters work well together, having a good team composition when you first start off in the match. One of the biggest problems I had the first competitive season I played of Overwatch is it seems like I would get matched with people who just didn't really know how to pick a good team comp. You get the people that insta-lock Hanzo and Genji and don't really do much during the match. But what I learned was that you're actually able to overcome this if you pick some characters that synergize with them. One of the problems I had in Season 2 was a lot of people would insta-lock a DPS, and they were not very good at DPS roles, and they would just die a lot and really not do much to help the team. And it kind of aggravated me, and I would kind of get angry and be like, my teammates aren't doing very good. And instead of focusing on that, what I actually should have been doing was thinking of ways I could have done better myself to kind of make it work. And one of the things you can do if you have teammates like that is pick a decent tank and do your best to keep them alive. I found that when I started playing Reinhardt a lot, when people would, insta-lock DPS right away, I'd pick Reinhardt and help shield them throughout the game, they were actually able to stay alive and actually do some damage, and we actually started to win more matches. And that's another important aspect of Overwatch, is there are going to be frustrating times with the game. You're going to think it's all your teammates playing badly, but definitely look at yourself, look in the mirror, and think about what you could do to help out. So let's say someone picks a Pharah, and you wanted to play DPS, but the DPS roles have all been taken, and Pharah's on the board. You can take Mercy. Mercy and Pharah are a great combo. They synergize very well. Mercy's able to follow Pharah around the map. She's able to heal her and also boost her rocket damage. So that's a great combo to use. I actually have had a couple matches like that where someone grabbed Pharah and a couple of the characters I wanted to play were taken, so I went ahead and grabbed Mercy, was able to provide some extra healing for the team and also pocket heal and pocket buff Pharah the entire match. And we actually just completely crushed the other team, and Pharah was like our MVP. She was just destroying everything, hitting her ult quite a bit, and just overall carrying us to victory. So you can help out in that way. Another good synergy is if someone takes McCree, pick a Reinhardt. Reinhardt really helps McCree out because it allows him to be shielded, and he's a very rather fragile character, but if he can stand behind Reinhardt's shield, he can get a lot of shots off on enemies, and also he's close enough if someone attacks Reinhardt, he can stun him with their flashbang and fan the hammer on him. But there's all kinds of really good synergies in the game, and definitely learn those, learn what characters work well together, and that will help you play a lot better. Even if your team's not as skilled as you hope it is, having good team composition is definitely going to make things a lot easier for you. Another thing when playing with your team is you want to have awareness in the game. Be aware of the people who your teammates are playing. Be aware of who you're going up against on the other team. This is very crucial for a lot of characters, especially some supports. Like if you're playing Zenyatta, you want to know who to put your Discord orb on in order to kill them quickly. There's going to be characters that you want to focus fire. You always want to go after the enemy team's supports primarily before anything else. I've found that to be very helpful. If the other team has a Lucio and a Mercy running around, if you kill them quickly, then they're not going to be able to heal the rest of their teammates, and the tanks will fall pretty quick, and then you can kill everyone else. So that's just a general tip to be aware of what you're playing against and who you need to go after on the other team. Like I said, the healers, the support characters, take them down quickly. If you see a Mei running around on the other team and you're on attack, definitely take Mei out quickly, because Mei can be an absolute pain in the butt if you don't get to her quickly and she can establish her freeze and get her ult going. She can be really, really annoying. So you have to prioritize targets, know who you want to take down. Definitely have that team awareness. One problem I notice in lower ranks is that Pharah just absolutely destroys teams because no one wants to look upwards. I've played on several teams, even in the gold rank, where Pharah's just running around, blowing everybody up, and absolutely no one focuses on her. I was a team one time, and there's a McCree, there's a Soldier 76, who are two of her hard counters, and neither one of them were even looking up and trying to shoot her down. So you definitely need to pay attention. If you're a hit scan character, if you're playing Soldier 76 or McCree or one of those, and there's a Pharah on the other team, it is your job to get rid of her, or at least harass her to the point where she cannot have air superiority. And that's just part of the awareness, is, again, knowing who's on the other team, knowing what character they're using, knowing their strengths and weaknesses, and knowing how to counter them. That's definitely going to help carry you through. There's a lot of matches I've lost where if someone had just focused on taking down one character or one support a little bit more quickly, then we probably would have won. So it's definitely something to pay attention to. You also want to be aware of your situation at all times, and you don't want to trickle into an objective or into a team fight. And what I mean when I say trickle in is basically what happens when you first start off. Hopefully you're going to be in a 6v6 situation against the other team. Now, people are going to die on either side. Now, if you die and you have to respawn back at the respawn point, your team is now fighting 6 versus 5. So you're out of the fight. You're trying to get back into the fight. If you see while you're coming back to the fight that 2 or 3 more people from your team die, then you might want to just kind of hang back and wait for everybody to regroup. And the problem is, if you push in when your team is fighting, say, 5 versus 3 or 5 versus 2, your team is most likely going to get wiped, and they're not going to do very well. And if you if you start to trickle in, like let's say you run in and you get to the fight just as those 2 people die, well, suddenly it's 3 or 4 or 5 versus 1, and you're focused down before you can escape, and you're dead. And meanwhile, your other teammates are trying to move in to help you, and now you go all the way back to the back, and it just creates what we call a trickle effect. And this is a very easy way to lose matches. This is a way I see a lot of people losing matches on the lower ranks. And it can be really frustrating when you get on a team that just continues to trickle and no one stops and just groups up. So if you can communicate, use your group up feature, you know, tell people, hey, let's hold back, let's wait up, because Overwatch is a lot about making pushes to the objective, and it's kind of hard to make a push if your team is constantly fighting 6 versus 3 or 6 versus 4, and people are trickling in, and you can't get a full kind of team push going on. It's very frustrating. It can definitely lead to a lot of lost matches if you have a team that constantly trickles in. So this is something you need to be aware of. Like I said, just pay attention to the team situation at all times. It's very easy to see what's going on your screen, whether your teammates are alive or dying. And like I said, you want to avoid that trickle thing, because if you do, it's going to basically make your team play much more consistently and have your team be a lot more effective when they're trying to make a push. So definitely do not trickle in. It's definitely a bad thing to do in Overwatch, and something I see starting out players doing quite a bit. One other thing I would add to help you sort of improve is if you find some teammates that you're playing very well with, and a lot of the times you'll notice some of the same people in your matches, especially since you're going to be match made from, you know, areas around you. Reach out to those people. If you're playing well with someone, if there's 2 or 3 people that you're constantly matched with and you're doing well, reach out to them, chat with them, try to group up with them. Definitely reach out and try to become a more social player. It's going to help you overall. If you can play in a game with 2 or 3 people that you're used to playing with, that you synergize well with, it's going to improve your play, and it's going to make you more effective overall, and it's hopefully going to help you win a little bit more. So definitely don't be shy. If you don't have a mic, you know, I don't really use a mic much in the game, but I do take advantage of the team chat when I can. There's auto chat functions you can use. Set those up to tell people to group up with you, tell people that you need healing and whatnot. Make sure you're taking advantage of all the social tools that Overwatch provides, because it's very good in that aspect for helping you find other players. And also, if there's really toxic players, you can avoid them. But if you find some people you play very well with, try to reach out to them, maybe add them to your friends list, and then you can hopefully get a group of a couple people you can play with all the time that you can get better with. And, you know, just it'll be easier to have a solid team that understands how to play the game well together. And that's going to help you quite a bit if you can do that. And lastly, we're going to talk about the most important thing with Overwatch, at least to me, is have fun with the game. Overwatch can be a very fun game, but it can also be an incredibly frustrating game, especially if you're playing competitive, and especially if you're playing competitive for the first time. It's very easy to get burned out playing competitive, especially if you go on a bit of a losing streak. It can be very frustrating, and you just don't want to play it anymore. But try to have fun. Thankfully, Overwatch has expanded a lot of its game modes. It has a nice arcade mode now. You've got a lot of different things there with the 1v1, 3v3. You can play random heroes. And quick play has improved quite a bit now that they took away hero stacking. So there's a lot of different game modes you can play. You can even go in and play the brawls if you're just trying to have fun. Or, of course, you can go and play another game. Whenever I want to take a break from Overwatch, I'll usually go play Mass Effect 3 for a little bit, play the multiplayer. That's the other game I've been playing. And also I've got some other games on my PC I've been trying out. But you don't have to just constantly grind competitive. The competitive season lasts for a pretty good time. You're going to be able to get your games in no matter what, whether you just want to play a couple of games a night, or whether you want to just play once a night, or grind out a whole 4 or 5 hours of gameplay. You're going to want to take a break from playing competitive. Like I said, it just can get very frustrating, especially if you go on a losing streak. One of the important things is not to go on tilt, as they say. And lose your focus, because if you lose 2 or 3 games in a row, you're going to start to get really mad. You're going to start to play a lot worse. It's going to affect you. It's going to affect your team, and you're just going to keep losing games. And that's something I usually do. If I lose 2 games or 3 games in a row, I usually quit playing competitive for a while. I'll relax a little bit before I come back in and try to play again. And but the nice thing, though, I will say about Season 3 is they have actually made it a little less frustrating, because it seems like you don't lose quite as much in ranking if you lose a match and you've been playing well. So something to keep in mind, but just try to enjoy the game. Overwatch can be really fun, like I said, but also incredibly frustrating at times. So if you keep that in mind and take a break once in a while, don't get caught up in playing competitive 24/7, I think you'll enjoy the game a lot more. And plus, you need to jump into quick play and warm up and practice, you know, especially if you're using some of the aiming tips I was telling you about earlier, trying to learn new heroes. You definitely want to take advantage and play some other game modes, play some quick play, because that'll only help you improve with some of those other characters. Anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I hope it helps you improve in Overwatch. Again, these are just some general tips and guidelines if you're a new, fresh starting player. And hopefully this is going to help you get out of those silver and bronze ranks. I'm working my way into platinum now and trying to improve all the time. So, like I said, I'm not the best Overwatch player, but I think I've picked up quite a few little tricks and things that have helped me out a lot, and I just wanted to share those with you. hopefully help you improve, because I know a lot of people are going to be picking this game up at Christmas time. This game is still relatively new, even though it's been out since May. And they're constantly improving things, and they're constantly updating things. So I think Overwatch is going to be around for a while, and it's just a game I'm really, really enjoying right now. So either way, hope you guys have found this helpful. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you again next time.